My parents did not come to my graduation. No saved seat, no familiar face in the crowd, just their absence humming louder than the stadium speakers. I walked across the stage alone, diploma in hand, pretending it did not sting. The cheering felt far away, like it belonged to someone else's life. The next morning, while my cap and gown still lay crumpled on the floor, my phone rang. "Kayla," my aunt said, voice tight. "Your parents are going door to door, borrowing money in your name." I froze. Then I grabbed my keys, picked up a folder I did not even realize I would need, and drove straight to their house. What I saw in that living room made it clear. Graduation was not the betrayal. It was the invitation to something much worse. I grew up learning that silence was easier to carry than hope. It started small, in ways no one outside our family would have noticed. At my elementary school recital, I remember standing behind the curtain, rubbing the edge of my costume with sweaty hands. Parents filled the auditorium, waving phones, calling out names. My mother's seat stayed empty. She slipped in halfway through the show, sunglasses still on, whispering that traffic was unbelievable. She never asked what song I sang. She never asked how it went. I stopped mentioning recitals after that. By middle school, the pattern had settled into my bones. I joined the debate club and made it to the finals. I told them the date twice. I wrote it on the fridge. I even slid a note under my mother's coffee mug. She moved it aside without reading it. When I brought home the second-place certificate, she glanced at it and said, "Nice, but do not let it distract you from real goals." She did not ask what the topic was. She did not ask who I debated. My father just gave the same shallow nod he used any time he wanted to avoid conflict. High school did not fix anything. My younger brother, Mason, blossomed into the golden child. Varsity sports, weekend hangouts, endless praise. My mother called him our miracle. When he forgot homework, she drove across town to drop it off. When I stayed late at the library working on a project that counted for half my grade, she texted, "Do not be dramatic. You have keys." Mason brought home average grades and they ordered celebratory pizza. I made honor roll and the house stayed quiet. Money was where the divide showed up in numbers. During my first year of college, I worked 2 jobs, early morning shelving at a bookstore and weekend data entry at a local office. I kept every receipt, every pay stub, every small proof that I was not a burden. Meanwhile, my parents told relatives they were supporting me through school. "Education is not cheap," my mother would say at Thanksgiving, smiling wide. "But we do what we must for our kids." I sat at the end of the table with my plate half full and listened. It was not the lie itself that hurt. It was how comfortably she told it, like the story had always belonged to her. Birthdays were quiet reminders too. On my 18th, I baked myself a cake from a boxed mix because they were at one of Mason's tournaments. They came home late, tired, smelling like stadium hot dogs. "Oh, right," my mother said, snapping off her earrings. "Today." Before going upstairs, my father placed a hand on my shoulder, then lowered it again, like he could not quite figure out what to say. I blew out the candles alone. There were other moments, small to them, permanent to me. A college acceptance letter slid under a stack of grocery ads like junk mail. A scholarship notice that my mother used as a coaster. The night I ran a fever yet still went to my shift, because missing one meant missing rent. I did not tell them. They did not ask. Somewhere in those years, I learned a quiet truth. Being overlooked hurts less when you stop expecting to be seen. I did not realize how much that lesson had shaped me until graduation day. Standing beneath those stadium lights, scanning a crowd that was not looking for me, everything I had lived through folded into one sharp understanding. This was not new. It was just the same pattern, finally too loud to ignore. The morning after graduation felt unnaturally still, like the city had not decided to wake up yet. My cap and gown were still on the floor where I dropped them, fabric creased, tassel curled like a question mark. I stepped over them on the way to make coffee, pretending it did not bother me. The phone rang before the kettle finished boiling. Aunt Teresa never called this early. She never called without texting first. I answered anyway. "Kayla," she said. Her voice sounded like someone holding something heavy in both hands. "Are you awake?" "I am here," I said. There was a pause, too long to be casual, too short to be comforting. Then she exhaled. "Your parents are going door to door, borrowing money in your name." I did not speak. I did not breathe. The kettle clicked off behind me, the sound unnaturally loud. "They told everyone you have a high-paying job lined up," she continued. "They are saying you offered to vouch for the loans. Some people already gave them cash." My phone buzzed with another message. A cousin I barely spoke to. "Hey, is it true we are supposed to send money to your parents? They said you will pay us back once you start that job." That job. The one I had not even interviewed for yet. Aunt Teresa kept talking, listing neighbors they had visited, who believed them, who did not, what was whispered on porches that morning. Her words blurred into one long realization. They had not forgotten me yesterday. They remembered me today, only as leverage. I picked up the gown from the floor. The fabric was limp in my hands. It still smelled faintly of sun and stadium dust. On the line, the silence grew heavier. "Kayla," she whispered, "you did not know, did you?" "No," I said calmly. "I did not." Another message came in from a neighbor. "Can you confirm this? They said you asked them for help." I let the screen go dark. "I will handle it," I told my aunt. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it. I did not move for a while after the call ended. The apartment held its breath with me. Morning light slipped through the blinds in thin stripes, cutting across the cap and gown now folded over my arm. I folded them neatly, smoothed the wrinkles with my palm, and set them on the chair by the window. The quiet felt intentional, like it wanted me to really hear what I had been ignoring for years. I opened my laptop. My inbox was full of automated replies from job applications. Nothing promised, nothing secure, just a row of maybes lined up like dominoes. If the wrong story spread about me owing money, or being reckless, every one of those maybes could topple. Reputation mattered, especially when you did not have connections to fall back on. I clicked through my bank statements. Every tuition payment I had made. Every paycheck from the bookstore. Every late-night data entry deposit. Scroll after scroll of proof. There was no sign of my parents anywhere. Because they had not been there. Not when it counted. Something tight and cold formed at the base of my throat. Not grief. Not rage. Clarity. My phone kept buzzing. More messages asking me to confirm what my parents claimed. I did not answer. Instead, I opened a new spreadsheet. Dates. Names. Amounts mentioned. Screenshots dragged into tidy rows. Every lie they told in my name got its own cell. Every, "we are counting on Kayla," got timestamped. I did not know yet exactly what I was going to do with it, but I knew I needed it. Aunt Teresa sent a voice message. I did not listen. I saved it into a folder labeled, simply, later. The kettle cooled on the counter. The apartment still smelled faintly of steam and detergent from my gown. I stood, moved around the room with a kind of focused calm I did not recognize. I pulled out a shoebox from under the bed, the one I had stuffed with old pay stubs, scholarship letters, copies of tuition receipts I had kept, just in case. Now I knew what, just in case, was for. I laid everything out on the kitchen table. The edges of the papers curled slightly, old ink smudged in one corner where my thumb had pressed too hard. I smoothed them all and slid them into a folder. It felt heavier than it looked. A text popped up from Mason. "Mom said you are being dramatic. Just clear it up." The phrase tasted metallic in my mouth. Clear it up. Like my name being used as collateral was a spilled drink, not a pattern. I did not reply. I grabbed my keys. For years I thought action meant argument. Now I understood something different. Action could also mean walking straight into the truth, with your evidence in your hands. Outside, the air carried the faint smell of wet pavement. I slid into my car and sat there for a moment before turning the key. The driveway behind my building was empty. A lone blue recycling bin stood slightly tilted. A breeze nudged it, making it wobble. The silence of the car felt different than the silence in my apartment. This quiet was not waiting. It was ready. I started the engine. My parents lived 15 minutes away. I knew every turn by heart. I had taken that route thousands of times as a kid, counting mailboxes, watching the same trees change with the seasons. Today, the drive felt like returning to a place I had only ever visited in dreams. At one red light, a family in the next lane laughed in their SUV, a toddler kicking the back of the seat while the mother tried to hand him a snack. The father glanced over and smiled at her. Such a small thing, being present. Such a big thing when you never had it. The closer I got to their street, the tighter my ribs felt. Not from fear. From inevitability. The house looked the same. Porch light still broken. The chipped planter my mother bought on clearance still by the steps. An out-of-season wreath hanging on the door. Ordinary. That was almost the worst part. I parked at the curb. The engine ticked as it cooled. I stayed there for a moment, hands on the wheel, eyes on the front door. I was not rehearsing. I was not scripting comebacks. I was listening to the quiet inside my chest that had grown too full to ignore. I unbuckled my seatbelt, picked up the folder, and stepped out. The air was cooler now, brushing my cheeks. The walk up the path felt strangely clear. Cracks in the pavement, loose leaves, the steady rhythm of my own footsteps. I paused before knocking, took one last breath, and understood something with perfect clarity. Whatever was behind that door was not going to ruin me. It was just going to confirm what had already been broken. My mother opened the door before I could knock a second time. Her expression flickered, surprise, annoyance, calculation, then settled into a tight smile. "Oh. You are here," she said, like she had not used my name as collateral all morning. The living room was fuller than I expected. A couple from our extended family sat on the couch, an envelope balanced between them. My father hovered nearby with his arms crossed, staring at the carpet. The air smelled like coffee and something sour underneath it, tension and desperation. The woman on the couch forced a smile. "Kayla, honey, we did not expect you today," she said. Her fingers tightened around the envelope. My mother moved to partially block my view, voice crisp. "We are in the middle of something important. If you had called, we could have." I walked past her. On the coffee table, there were more envelopes. Some open, some sealed, some stuffed. My father cleared his throat, brittle. "Your mother and I, my mother cut him off smoothly. "We just needed a little help. Families do that. You are blowing this out of proportion." I set my folder down on the coffee table. The thud made everyone flinch. "What is that?" my mother asked. "Everything you told people I agreed to cover," I said. Her face went pale, then flushed. "Kayla, do not start this. They believed us because they trust us. That is how family works." The man on the couch frowned. "So you did not promise to pay us back?" I opened the folder. Pages slid forward. Screenshots. Bank statements. Scholarship letters. Work stubs. Every document that proved I had put myself through school, alone. My father took a half step back. "You are twisting things," my mother snapped. "We told people you would help because you owe this family all that education. You think you did that alone?" The room went quiet. Aunt Teresa's voice came from the hallway. I had not even heard her come in. She folded her arms, eyes fixed on my parents. You did not pay a cent, she said evenly. You told everyone you did, but we all know who covered what. The couple on the couch stiffened. The woman set the envelope back down on the table like it was hot. So you did not ask for this, Kayla, she whispered. No, I said. I never agreed to anything. My mother's composure cracked. You are being dramatic. It is not a crime to ask for help. You did not ask, I replied. You used my name. The words landed harder than any raised voice. More relatives appeared in the hallway, pulled by the noise. People who used to nod and smile whenever my mother spoke now frowned. Watching her in a way I had never seen before. For years I had been the quiet one. The one who did not make scenes. The one who made herself small so others did not feel uncomfortable. Now the quiet belonged to me. I gathered the papers, slid them back into the folder, and met my mother's eyes. If you needed help, I said, you could have come to me like an adult and asked. You did not. You lied and dragged my future into it. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. My father stared at the floor. I did not remember walking out of the house. One moment I was standing in their living room, the air thick with a silence no one wanted to break. The next, I was outside on the porch, the door shutting softly behind me. Evening had started to fall. The sky was a muted blue with streetlights humming awake. I walked to my car. My hands settled on the steering wheel, steady, not shaking. For the first time in a very long time, I felt space in my chest instead of pressure. In the weeks that followed, life rearranged itself quietly. I answered messages from relatives one by one, short and factual. No, I did not authorize loans. No, I did not promise to repay anything. Yes, they used my name without my consent. Some people apologized. Some people went quiet. Some people tried to defend my parents for a while, then stopped when the facts stacked too high. I focused on my own next steps. I signed paperwork for a job that appeared like a small light in the fog. Not glamorous, but honest and stable. I packed my things into clean boxes and found a new place across the city, then across a different city line, somewhere that finally felt like a real reset. On the morning I moved, sunlight spilled across the floor in soft rectangles. I sat at the edge of my mattress and just breathed. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. I am sorry for everything. Then one from my mother. We should talk. I watched the screen glow, then let it go dark. Outside, the air was cool and open, the kind that makes you think about highways and blank pages. I locked the old apartment, slid the key into my pocket, and walked to the car. Some distances do not appear overnight. They are revealed the moment you stop shrinking to fit spaces that were never built for you. I used to think silence was something done to me, a hollow placed around my edges. Now I understand it differently. Silence can also be a doorway. A clean threshold you choose to step through when the old rooms no longer feel like home. If you have ever rebuilt yourself quietly, piece by steady piece, there is nothing weak about walking away. And if you are listening from anywhere in the world, tell me this in the comments. Have you ever drawn a line you never crossed back over?